I honestly believe that white guilt is becoming more and more alarming and problematic, or just as problematic as black victimhood. You know, a lot of times I get on my videos and I see African American people getting on television and protesting and doing all kinds of crazy stuff that I adamantly disagree with. But now I'm starting to see more and more of this social justice warrior mentality associated to white guilt. Let me give you some facts. Let me give you some facts real quick. And I know that we've been beating the Starbucks thing like a dead horse. But let me give you some quick facts. And I had to be honest with myself, and I had to evaluate this for myself. And this is the conclusion that I came up with. When these two dudes got arrested, I had to look at this. I noticed that they weren't the ones yelling racism. They didn't pull out their camera and videotape. They got on national TV and they said that it's not a black thing. Like it's not about black people. I haven't seen them protesting. I haven't seen them disparaging the police department. Correct me if I'm wrong. But who do you see making a big deal out of this? Who do you see making a big deal out of this? I'm seeing a whole bunch of white people who are suffering from white guilt. Starts with the girl in the cafe who videotaped this. Obviously, they had phones too. They didn't videotape it. What'd she do? Videotape this. Because of her white guilt, she want to make sure that she's somehow a defender. She has to stand up for all the wrong that she's done in her life against black people. So she needs to be their spokesperson. So she go and videotape this and post it. The video went viral from her recording. Now, who else? Who else in this situation was, virtue signaling? Their friend comes in the door. What is he screaming? The first thing he say to the police officers: "What are they doing? Because they're black?" Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Then who's next? Other than Black Lives Matter, who we know are clowns, and they're going to continue to do the same thing no matter what. So I'm not counting them. But who's next? The CEO of Starbucks comes out, virtue signaling, because somehow in this country, if you're white, you were responsible for slavery, and you were responsible for the degradation of the black community, or some parts of the black community, and you gotta overcompensate for the guilt that has been placed on you by a lot of liberals in America. I am sick of this. I'm telling you right now, don't come up to me and tell me you feel sorry for me. I don't need your sympathy. Don't come up to me and try to reason with me and say you have sympathy for me, or you're showing empathy towards me because my ancestors were slaves. Well, look, let me tell you this. I had no association. I have no association with slavery. I wasn't even alive during the civil rights movement. I have only been alive when black and white people can go to school together. Since I've been alive, black and white people play football together. Black and white people shop together. They live together. They marry each other. Since I've been alive, black and white people in America don't have issues. Don't have huge issues. Now, when you look at isolated situations, yeah, man, it's never going to happen. Inevitably, people are going to be crazy. People are going to hate each other. People are going to not like other people because of their race, the color, the color of their hair, their eyes. If they didn't get a manicure, pedicure today, people are going to be mad at you. There's a full spectrum of hatred that comes along with being human beings. But does that mean that we live in the 50s? Does that mean that we live in the 40s? Does that mean that we live, 500 years ago? It doesn't mean that. And this is my message to white people who walk around every single day feeling like you guilty. You're not guilty of nothing. Only 5% of white people in America have any ties or lineages to people that stem back to slavery. And even during slavery, less than 15% of people in the southern states actually own slaves. Let me give you another statistic. Over 60% of the people living today, the white people that live in America, came here after slavery was abolished. So I don't know what you're guilty of. What are you feeling guilty for? I don't want to hear you cry me a river about what you need to do to somehow reconcile with the black people. I'm going to tell you this. And if you're sitting here and you're wondering, let me tell you this. Black people who are not living the life of victimhood, we don't waste time worrying about who did what thousands of years ago. All we're worried about right now is what can we do together moving forward. Martin Luther King, all of our forefathers of this country have fought to sustain the right and the ability for us to exist together. They have done the legwork. All we have to do now is try to perfect what has already been done. So you feeling guilty for stuff you had nothing to do with is not helping us move forward. Don't let nobody peer pressure you into feeling like you need to be sorry to them. You need to open the door for them. You need to somehow overcompensate for something that neither you nor them had involvement with. It's time for us to move forward, America. Golly, can we move forward? That stuff is old. It's time for us to come together as people. Black, white, whatever nationality you are, wherever background you come from, whether you're poor or rich, it's time for us to come together and come up with reasonable solutions for us moving forward. Can we all just get along? Only reason that there's racial division in this country because we create it, we perpetuate it. And I honestly believe that liberals in America, not the liberals of old, I'm talking about modern day liberals, are literally forcing racism down our throats. Anytime a person is upset with another person, and it never go both ways, but anytime a white person is upset with a black person, it's racism. But every time it comes to black and white issues, it seems like the left is just trying their best to create and keep this flame going. The flame is dead, man. Believe it or not, in America, racism is dead. It's only a few people trying to revive it. Only a few people giving CPR to racism. A few people giving CPR to white privilege. A few people giving CPR to some level of angst when it comes to slavery and discrimination. Quit giving CPR to it and it'll die.